There's a 14mm socket to take off the calipers. Remind myself, I'm just doing this for me. If anyone else is watching, good for you. I'm gonna pull the brake round thingies also. So this one up here was being a poopy head coming out. So what I ended up doing, I can't find a wrench that'll fit onto this this nut or whatever, flat surface. So I ended up getting a screwdriver and shoving it underneath here and jamming it up so I could rotate this and pull it out. Very short screws. They weren't in there very tight at all. Yeah. When I pull the caliper, I like to tie it up someplace, maybe up here, just to hold it up out of the way. Zip tie works great. This will just pull right out at this point. So because I'm doing the brake disc also, round thingy, I gotta pull these funny bolts out here. And a 3/4 seems to fit on there just fine and pull out. Nothing's in there like terribly cranked down super tight, so should be relatively easy to do even in Wisconsin. Also, as a reminder, I like to leave this bolt in slightly just so that this whole assembly doesn't shift back and forth as I'm trying to unbolt it. Plus, if I get this bolt out, it won't fall out, which I would not like. All right, so this is loose coming out. Disc is gonna stay in place, but hey, whatever. Very tiny screw. And the disc, I'm gonna have to hit it with a hammer. So I left the little screw in so that the disc wouldn't fall out. Hit it like 3 times with a hammer, and it loosened right up. So now she can fall down on the floor. Which, bad camera view, but it's coming out. So side one don't look too bad, and the the disc is, or the brake pad's worn down pretty good. The back side, on the other hand, pretty much looks like poop, and you could see that the brake pad was pretty much gone. Same thing with the other side. Not looking good at all. Time to change brakes. Okay, I don't know where I left off at, but the next step I'm gonna do, because it's gonna be easy here, is just put my C-clamp on up here and compress these puppies down one after another. They gotta be compressed down, otherwise I won't be able to get the disc with the pads back on. So this is with one compressed down. I'll go back to the other side and do the other one, which might push the first one out a little bit, so I'll just go back and compress it back down again. But either way, if it doesn't fit, no big deal, just go back and compress them down. Old brake disc, new brake disc. So it's got oil on it to keep it from rusting, so a lot of people use brake clean. It's probably a good idea to do that, but I hate the chemicals and crap, so I'm just gonna wipe it with a nice clean rag and get all the oils off of it. I think really you're not getting that much oil off of it, so to get brake clean and use that to spray it down. I mean, it does work good, but who cares? Do both sides. So yeah, both sides of the disc clean. I just got to put that pin back in. Now, I'll put it down snug, but it doesn't need to be super tough. That ought to do. We get that, I don't know what this thing's called, the brake caliper piece back in. Those 2 bolts, and the calipers. This is actually a good time with the, whatever this is, out to replace all these nice metal brake clips. The old ones seem to work, but check the new ones on the other brake side and they seem to work fine, so I'm gonna pop these out. Just pop them out with a screwdriver and pop them back in. It's really not that hard to do. just throw them in the same way they came out. So I did get the new clips in on all 4 sides, insides and outsides. I can barely see one. But I did have to use a screwdriver and take it up into one corner there and then pop it into the other corner to pop those in. They don't just slide in. You got to use a screwdriver and a hammer to kind of pound them in a little bit, but they don't interfere with the disc at all, which is nice. Now I'm just going to put these 2 bolts back on and it'll be done. So I've got these 2 bolts in. Put them down tight, but I got a calibrated elbow, so they don't need to be like super tight. It's just your brakes, so it's not very important. Next step is I'm going to cut the zip tie for the caliper and throw that in place, and then put those 2 tiny bolts back onto these 2 mounting surfaces. If these 2 don't push in, they're spring loaded. There it goes. Usually you just take a hammer and tap them in nice and gently, but these went in nice and easy, so that's pretty cool. So I got those 2 bolts in. That inner bolt did spin a little bit, so again, you can grab hold of the washer area here, hold of the Victor strips or even a pair of pliers just to hold it up a little bit. Again, they don't need to be super tight. It's just brakes, so it's not that important. The only thing I got left now to do is put the tire back on. And again, the tire will rest on this lip right here, so you can get up there, just make sure it doesn't fall down on you. And put a lug nut in right away. That ought to do it. Only other thing is the brake fluid reservoir up inside the engine bay up there might be overfilling and might be dripping, depending if it's been filled up since the brake pads wore down and the calipers came out. But I don't think so in this case. I think we're good, but I'll check it anyways.